Hello and welcome to the FM Scout YouTube channel. I'm Curty FM and we're back. Tactic Tuesday is back. We had a little break last week, but we're back, we're raring to go, and in this video we discuss a system that has been requested by quite a few of you. Before we get into it though, I would like to invite you over to my channel Curty FM, where I'm currently running a series with my beloved Aldershot Town. We've just finished season 1, no spoilers though, so if you want to go and check it out, feel free to head over there now. However, going back into this video, as you can see by the thumbnail, we are looking at Mauricio Pochettino's 2016-2017 system. Last year he applied a more conventional 4 at the back system, however he has switched to 3 at the back this year, and that's the system we're going to be looking at in depth today. Now, as with every Tactic Tuesday video, we'll take a brief look at some of the key elements of the tactic and what we're trying to achieve. So looking at this particular Tottenham system, first off the bat, we're looking at counter-pressing. Now, it's not quite as aggressive as Jurgen Klopp and his gegenpressing system. However, there is a certain element of constant harassment of opposition players, and we need to make sure we build that into the team. We want to squeeze the opponents, squeeze their area of the pitch, force them into playing long balls so our 3 centre-backs can get hold of the ball and build from the back. Next up, we have one of the key roles in the team, which is the Dembele Role. Now, he provides a real driving force from midfield. It's not uncommon to see him taking the ball out of defence, beating a couple of men, dribbling away and setting up attacks for Tottenham. It's a really good link between defence and attack, and so getting his particular role and his instructions right within this team will be key. Next up is our wing backs. Now, we need them to be high and wide in attack. Pochettino demands a hell of a lot of his wing backs, and you see that in the fact that he rotates them quite a lot, just because of the intensity that he requires them to play at, and the energy that they need to fulfil the role. Having someone tired in that role is no good to him, basically. So we need to make sure the wing backs are performing as we need them to. And finally, the second key role in this team, I believe, is the Dele Alli role. He needs to play high up with the striker, but also fulfill a role in that midfield. Now, we need him to get his share of goals. We need him to play up almost as a second striker with Kane. So again, we need to make sure we get this role right, and we need to make sure the link-up play between Dele Alli and Harry Kane is right. Right, before I go to the tactic, I just want to make it clear that this is my interpretation of the Pochettino system. So if you disagree with any of the roles that you're about to see, any of the team instructions, anything at all, feel free to challenge me in the comments section below. I'm happy to have a discussion about what I've done. It's happened before with previous Tactic Tuesday videos. People have put their opinions forward. Hopefully I've answered them suitably. So this is no different, okay? And beware, what you're about to see is a bit bonkers. So this is it. This is the system that I've come up with. There's a few roles which I think are still potentially up for debate, and we'll go through that as we go through each role. But we'll start with team instructions first of all. We're playing a control system. It's quite an aggressive system, obviously not as aggressive as attacking, but still I think it fills the brief. We're playing on a normal tempo. Potentially we could have put it on a higher tempo, but with control, you know, you're playing on the higher side of normal as it is. We're playing fairly wide. We want to make use of our wing backs. We want them to stay wide. As we discussed, they are a key element to this tactic. Our defensive line, we're pushing slightly higher. We're closing down more. We're preventing short goalkeeper distribution. We're using tighter marking. That all just ties in with the high counter-pressing system that we want to try and achieve. The only other instruction that I've applied is to play out of defence. We don't want to be giving away possession easily. We want to be keeping the ball. We've got some really good ball-playing defenders, so we want to make full use of those guys. Okay, so let's start at the back. We've got Hugo Lloris. He's a standard goalkeeper. I toyed with the idea of making him a sweeper keeper, but in the end, just went with the standard keeper. All we've asked him to do, we've asked him to pass it shorter, distribute to the centre-backs, and get the ball out quickly, get it moving. Obviously, we don't want him hoofing long balls down the field when we've got some really quality centre-backs that we could get on the ball. We'll start on this right-hand side of defence in the Eric Dyer role. Just a standard centre-back. we've got the other two playing as ball-playing defenders. We didn't need a third one. Dyer would be capable of playing that role, but we just want him to act as a centre-back. Just release the ball to players in front of him or the ball-playing defenders playing next to him. Go to Toby Alderweireld. I never can pronounce that correctly. He is a ball-playing defender on cover. Toyed with the idea again. He always plays deeper than the other two defenders. What I'll do is I'll just put up a passing map, and you can just see he always plays slightly deeper than the other two defenders. So for that reason, I've put him on a cover duty. Like I say, toyed with the idea of playing him as a sweeper, and there is argument that you could do that. That's up for debate. To be honest, I'm still in two minds. Looking at sort of some of the average positions, he doesn't drop quite as deep in this role as I'd like him to, so perhaps playing him as a sweeper would be the way forward. Alongside him we've got Vertonghen, again a ball playing defender on defend. He pushes up a bit higher than Alderweireld, so he'll sort of almost not move into midfield, but he will link up with the midfielders, and he's so good on the ball you want him playing out from the back. Right, now we move on to this defensive line. I'll start with the fullbacks. They're both complete wing backs on attack. Kyle Walker, however, is asked to shoot less often, and he's asked to play fewer risky passes. If you ever watch Kyle Walker, he will obviously cross the ball, but he does tend to cut inside, slow down play, and just knock it into someone slightly more creative relatively often. So for that reason, we've added those instructions to his role. On the opposite side, Danny Rose, he is just a bog standard complete wing back attack. We've not asked him to do anything else. Right, moving into midfield. Now, if we go back to this passing map, you can see this is pretty unconventional. I appreciate that, but you can see Wanyama does tend to stay really central. That is why we've put him in this defensive midfield defend role, because we want him to hold his position more. I mean, he will still close down, as you can see. His instructions as part of this role are close down more, so he will do that, but he will hold his position as well. Knock the ball about, just play it off to slightly more creative players. I'm quite happy, I think, with this particular role. I didn't want him in the centre midfield strata, and I felt like he needed to be in a central role in the pitch. Now this is one that could be controversial, is the Dembele role. Now again, I'm going to revert back to this passing map, and I appreciate it's only one game, but I've looked at several of these, and they all sort of tell similar stories. Dembele obviously plays between Eriksen and Wanyama, or not as a pivot. He's not sort of stagnant in his role. I wouldn't put him as a deep line playmaker. That's not the role he plays. So what I've done is I've put him on a defensive midfield supporting role. He does tend to stay on this left-hand side of midfield, so it kind of makes sense in that regard to have him here next to Wanyama. We've asked him to get further forward. We've asked him to dribble more. He does tend to do that. That's kind of one of his, it's what he's all about, really. The reason I didn't put him in the central midfield strata was because I felt he was too high up the pitch. He often starts from a deeper position, moves forward with the ball. I felt like this particular role and putting him in this particular position mirrored the passing maps that I've looked at. Right, moving further up the pitch, Eriksen playing as an advanced playmaker attack. I don't think there's much you can argue with this role, to be honest with you. We've asked him to get further forward to support Ali and Kane, but we want him coming from that deeper position. Obviously Walker will be bombing on alongside him. Dembele will be getting up to support him. Rose is on the opposite side, and I think this role, I don't think there's any arguments about this role, to be honest with you. Up front, Dele Alli, support striker attack. Just that makes sense. I think it's an important role within the team. We want him to stay high up with Kane and get his fair share of goals. And as a shadow striker, he should do that. Up front, Harry Kane, obviously. I did recently have this on a complete forward attack role, and I've just changed it to a support role purely because, although he's linking up with Ali, he is on the average position map. He can often drift off, a bit further away from Ali than I'd like him to. Also, Kane does tend to drift out to the wings quite a lot in real life, so we've asked him to move into channels, and I think a supporting role is going to work better, certainly with link up with Ali and Eriksen. In terms of the roles, I appreciate there's some controversy. I appreciate some of you will have your own ideas, but I'm actually quite happy. I'm quite happy with how this plays, how this looks. Right, evidence. You want evidence, I suppose. Right, this is This is from our 2-0 win away at Chelsea. So you can see, if we bring up the passing map, the kind of shape that we're looking at. We've got the back three. Obviously, Alderweireld is not dropping as deep as I'd like him to, hence why I think maybe a sweeper role might be more appropriate. Wanyama's staying central, which is good. Dembele to the left of him. Eriksen slightly further on the right-hand side. The only disappointment really is the distance on the average position map between Ali and Kane. Even with the ball, there's still a fair distance between the two. That's why I've dropped Kane back onto that supporting role. I think it will work better in the long run. So you've seen the tactics. Let's see how we got on, shall we? Alright, in terms of the Premier League, we're currently 6th. Now, that's not great, I hear you cry. And I appreciate that. We've drawn a lot of games, 19 games. Obviously, I've simmed forward to this point of the season. Ultimately, this would take me bloody hours to do if I had to play each game and play to a certain point of the season. And I haven't got the time for that. So I set the tactic and then sim forward to a point in the season. So we're currently at the end of December of season 1. We've won 8 games, drawn 8 games, lost 3 games. Now there's a story behind this though. You can see from around the start of November, things have gone to pants, to be honest with you, and that purely is because, well, for a couple of reasons actually. Harry Kane got injured around the start of November, and he's had 2 or 3 injuries now. I'll show you his injury history. So you can see, start of November, got himself injured for 3 weeks, came back, then had a gashed head, and now he's out again for 2 weeks. So given that he is a key player in this team, and we're severely lacking other striking options, that's going to cause us problems. Also, we have a few players, so Ben Davies, Wimmer, Lamela, Son, all unhappy because they're not getting first team football. Obviously, with this tactic, I've put in key players for the positions that I think are important. So the back three obviously needed them to be in there. Wanyama, Dembele, Eriksen, Ali and Harry Kane, all really, really important players for this system. So other players in the squad are going to miss out on game time. The turn in form falls in line with Kane getting injured and the fact these other players have started kicking off. Prior to that point though, the tactic was working really, really well. We've had some really big results in there. For example, let's look at the Champions League group that we had. Champions League Group A. We were in a group with Dortmund, Real Madrid and Legia Warsaw. The fact that we've won that group is astonishing in itself. Real Madrid finished 3rd. Let's look at some of these games that we played in the Champions League. Beat Dortmund at home, 1-0. Then went to Madrid and won 2-1. Beat Legia twice, comfortably. And then, obviously, the last 2 games, we lost away in Dortmund and drew at home with Real Madrid. So, some astonishing results in the Champions League. Also, some other games in here. So, drew at home with Man United. Beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I mean, how often does that happen? Drew at home with Liverpool. And I'm sure there's a London derby in there. Okay, and drew at home with Arsenal. But, during our bad run, so that's not a bad result by any means. So I think given proper squad management, because we know how inept some of these assistants can be when you sim forward, given proper squad management, I think this tactic can work. Obviously you can see the morale of the players. Not great at the moment, not great at all. In terms of individual performances, Harry Kane, look, we know he starts the season slow in real life, so this is it's imitating life. He's only got 6 goals, 6 assists in 19 games. So he's contributed 12 times in 19 games. So if you look at it like that, it's not that bad. But this is partly why I've changed his role to a support role rather than an attack role, because I want him linking up better with Dele Alli. Dele Alli's got his fair share of goals, 6 goals in 25 games. I'd like to see that more. Eriksen's performing okay. In fact, if we order it by average rating, Dembele has actually got the highest rating in the team, 7.29. Slightly disappointing overall. To be honest, I'm putting that down to just the morale reasons, and the fact obviously my assistant is inept. It's a really good example actually. It's a really good example of why I don't just sim forward a whole season in these Tactic Tuesday videos, because as soon as the morale drops, you can see no matter what you do, no matter who you play, it's a struggle. It's a struggle to get out of the rut. So, as with all Tactic Tuesday videos, we're going to look at a few examples of some of the key elements that we discussed earlier in action. This is a goal from our 3-0 win at home to Hull earlier in the season. It just shows the really good link-up play and the kind of play that I want to see more often from Harry Kane and Dele Alli. In this particular clip though, Lamela is playing the role of Dele Alli. It's late in the game, Ali's come off the pitch, and Lamela's filling his role, but that's what I want to see from the shadow striker and complete forward in their link-up play. So we'll start it here. Walker plays it in to Wanyama, who knocks it into Harry Kane, who's dropped off the line. Straight away you can see Lamela is making that move to run beyond Kane. Kane takes a nice touch, nice simple ball, and a really easy finish for Lamela. But it just highlights the kind of link-up play that I want to see from my complete forward and my shadow striker. Okay, this next clip is in two parts, and it highlights the Dembele role really, and kind of what we want from Dembele in that position. So we're going to roll on here. This is the first part of it. Dembele gets the ball and instantly he's driving into that space, surrounded by Real Madrid players, but he's holding onto the ball and he wins a free kick. So Casemiro brings him down, but it's kind of what we want from him. We want him to get the ball and just drive at the opposition. From the free kick, Eriksen plays it into Alderweireld, Dele Alli into Kane, and Dembele, who stayed high up the pitch, tucks it away nicely to get the winner in Madrid. Just a really good example of what we expect from Dembele in that role. It's not just a defensive midfield role, you know. We're asking him to support attacks as well. Okay, this one's a nice example of a couple of things really. Our wing-backs staying high and wide up the pitch, stretching the defence out, and also the link-up play between our striker and our shadow striker. So we're going to play this on a bit. Walker has it, plays it inside to Kane, into Eriksen. Eriksen's got a really high position. You know, we've asked him to play in an attack role from midfield, so he's pushed on. They've isolated this number 5 here, who is Kurt Zuma. Dele Alli has stayed high up the pitch. Eriksen plays it into Ali, and that's a really nice finish. And yeah, that's part of our 2-0 win at Stamford Bridge. Really good result. So there you have it really. Like I say, I put the fact that we are 6th in the league and in a bad run of form just down to the fact that morale is just so important in this game. I think a human manager will always outperform an AI manager. Unless you're really bad at the game, I think a human manager will always outperform an AI manager in terms of squad management, keeping a team happy, and ultimately when a team's happy, they're going to play to their potential. In this case, it's gone the other way for us, and that is why we're down in 6th position in the league. But you can see what this tactic is capable of, see some of the results we've picked up, especially in the Champions League where we won that difficult group with Dortmund and Real Madrid. I think this tactic has promise, and I'm tempted, to be honest with you, to carry on this save and take over myself and see if I can turn things around. However, that is all from me. That's it for another Tactic Tuesday video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. It's really appreciated when you do. Make sure you subscribe to the FM Scout YouTube channel. We've got some quality content creators bringing you daily content. You don't get that from many other channels, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, head over to the FM Scout website. It's a quality website. You can get tactics, player guides, downloads for graphics, loads of stuff over there to enhance your Football Manager experience. Like I say, I've been Curty FM. If you want to head over to my channel, drop me a cheeky sub. That would be superb. Hopefully you like what you see over there and you'll stick around. However, that's all from me. Until next time, ta-ta for now.